Dear friends, at this moment we are in the municipality of Pasca, Vereda, San Pablo, 30 minutes from the city of Fusagasugá, Cundinamarca, and I want you to know this wonderful property, which has an area of 38,400 square meters. We have agricultural production of tree tomato plus 3,000 meters for family use for various fruit trees.
Cítricos y frutales los cuales están para uso familiar.
This property has a living with 2 independent apartments, 5 bedrooms in total. We have a beautiful water spring, irrigation district service, and village aqueduct service for us to take into account, that is to say. On the issue of local water and drinking water services, we are at 100%. We are at an altitude of 1,900 meters above sea level. This also allows citrus fruits to be grown, and they are harvested in a spectacular way. Accompany me to observe the quality of this fruit. This is a tangerine tree, and look at the size of the fruit. Let's try to look over. Here are some that are ripe. Look at the impressive harvest that this tree has, as we say, the high load of fruit that it has. We have several trees as well. Come this way, so that they can observe mature fruits. And look at my dear friends, at the beautiful production of tangerines. So we can sow these fruits that I have been showing them for family use. Around here in this area, we have 2 avocados of the papalillo variety. There are 2 trees, and in front of us, we have a tangerine tree that has already started production as well. And over here, we have some frayoa trees. It's a delicious fruit. And the climate is suitable for this crop as well. As you have seen, this climate lends itself to growing many different varieties of trees. As I have already indicated, at this moment the farm is cultivated with tree tomatoes, but you can plant culipa beans, avocados, custard apples, bananas, and much more. And all of the above are seeded here on this property, my dear friends. And I had already told you about the house. All this area that you are observing is the green zone. And also here, we can see the parking area. We have capacity for 3 vehicles indoors. For example, this area. This area of the house accommodates 2 vehicles indoors. And vehicles can also be parked in this area. And also so that the family can enjoy the space, since it is the space that we call green areas. Now, let's talk about vehicular entry. We have entered here with low vehicles, that is to say, that we can enter with trucks or low vehicles. And the local road is a footprint and a gazebo, which would be another aspect to take into account. This is another vehicular access that allows us to enter to the other end of the farm to bring the harvest to the courtyard of the house. Here in the house, we have the collection point where the fruit is chosen. The highest quality and the lowest quality are selected in this way to take it to the market. And although this way, you enter with the 4 times per vehicle, you can upgrade to enter with any vehicle if you wish. Because we are currently entering that area with the Willis. Well, my friends, so right now, we are in the productive area of the farm, and I've brought a special guest, Juan Perez, an experienced farmer, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the production that is on this property.
Agricultural production is divided into 3 parts. In this area we have 500 trees. We have another area at the other end of the property, with 850 floors, who are 10 months old. And the ones we have here have already started production. And there's another area where we have 700 trees as well, which are 4 months old.
What are the advantages of planting them in age scales, as the project is currently being carried out?
The advantage is that when these trees finish their production cycle, the other trees start production in this way. In this way, while one lot is being harvested, the other has started production. We are arranging the land to cultivate again in the lots that have finished their production cycle. In this way, we will have a harvest at all times.
In other words, the property will always have an income thanks to this cultivation technique.
For example, here we did fruit collection on Monday. So you can see that at this time there are no ripe fruits. They are all
That is
painted.
to say, the fruit is between ripe and green, which we call pine. And how is the issue of caring for this crop? What could you indicate to people interested in investing in this property? What care should be taken? And what are the advantages of growing tree tomatoes? Since you tell me that you like this crop very much. And also tell the people who are watching us what disadvantages you experienced. For example, you told us something related to the waiting time.
Well, the advantages that we can highlight is that the tree tomato crop lasts 3 years producing, or 2 years failing that, and you don't have to sow constantly unlike other crops that require a lot more labor. For example, the cultivation of beans and beans, which are crops to be tied, and every 4 months you have to prepare the ground again. Unlike growing tree tomatoes once the soil has been prepared. And the only disadvantage is the initial stage, that we would wait a year to start production. From then on it is every 15 days. But that year we can take advantage of it to plant various crops in the middle of the other plants. Of course, specific crops such as beans, we could do 3 harvests of beans or 3 harvests of beans in that year.
In other words, from the beginning of the year, we can only have advantages in this tree tomato crop.
Starting the production process, we only have to worry about routine maintenance, which is fumigation and fertilization, which is the basic of this crop.
How often do you fertilize this crop?
Here the fertilization process is done every 2 months.
And after starting the production cycle, how often is it harvested?
Every 15 days.
Okay, every 15 days. I don't know if you can also give us information on how many layettes or kilos have been collected. Are they collecting?
Not exactly, because he starts out producing little and then increases his harvest. And this is the first harvest. From the second harvest, the production begins to increase, and so on. Third harvest increases plus fourth harvest increases more production. And when you're at the top of production, for example, you'd be producing 50 to 60 punnets.
Every 15 days.
Every 15 days. But as I told you, in the first harvest little is harvested since the plant is developing. It is taking its shape to start large production.
And this is where the 4 times for vehicle comes in.
Yes, that's how it is when the large tomato production begins. A Willis enters here to take the fruit to the house, and there we arrange it. And there in that area the vehicle turns around. And there we have a booth where we pack layettes. And as I tell you, from there we take him to the house, and at the house they come to pick them up.
And the income is designed for a Willis.
These are the avocado trees I want to show you.
Wow.
And there we can see how it is planted in the middle of the tree tomato, and they do not affect each other at all. And there we can observe their production, both that of the tree tomato and that of the avocado.
Oh, so they don't compete with each other.
No, because they are planted in specific spaces. For example, here were some stones. We edge those stones and we plant the tree there, and the tree after the root goes down to deep soil. The tree lives without any problem.
It's amazing how adaptable non-trees are. Ah, but this plant is now another age.
These tomato trees are 8 months old.
Okay, 8 months, that is. You have how many months left to produce?
Each for months, and for months this batch would start production. Because it's already between 8 and 9 months old.
Claro.
And in that
Y aquí
upper
arriba,
area that
en
you
esa
have
zona aquí,
cultivated,
esa área que tiene, este es
Well, that lot from above the corn was grown, and I will explain why. That lot had tomato cultivation. Let's say that we let the land rest for a year. From the tree tomato crop, instead of that we plant other crops such as beans and corn, so that the land rests from the tomato crop. And then we plant tomatoes again. To continue the process with tomato cultivation, continue that sequence. This property has a lot of water in the upper area. We have a reserve tank, we have the water from the spring, and we have the irrigation district water, which is also being used here on this property.
and the filling of that tank is done with the water of,
With drinking water, which is another service that this farm has as well.
then this farm has a
Entonces,
lot of water
realmente esta
options.
finca en temas de riego está muy completa. Por ejemplo, pude observar que usted tiene
I could see
en
that
este
you have
momento
many water
surtidores
sprinklers
en el otro
throughout the
extremo de la
farm.
propiedad.
And
Sí.
here, you
Y
have
aquí
water
también puedo
sprinklers
observar que
too.
tiene el tema de surtidores.
It's just that I really have to water sprinklers right now, because the weather is mild.
Sí.
That's why I have few sprinklers, but if I want, one can install one there. 2 here plus 3. That can be installed with the electrical connection from the cistern. We could have 5 or even 7 water sprinklers at the same time.
Del pozo artificial.
Actually 10 sprinklers, with which they move from the artificial lake. In one day, the entire farm is watered.
Se riega,
Oh,
es decir, que
so
no
we
hay
don't have
riesgo
any
que por
risk of
agua
losing the crop
se
due
esté
to lack
perdiendo
of
un
water.
cultivo o algo por el estilo.
Not
No,
because we
porque-
have spent long summers here, and the source of water in the cistern does not reduce its flow, for the forest conservation that we have in the cistern.
Sí, es una
Yes,
bien
it is
potente, o
actually a
sea,
very
y ya
powerful
hice una
water
visita
stealer.
previa a
And
este
now
aljibe,
we are going
pero
to be
ahorita quiero que
getting to
ustedes
know it
observen a
because
detalle
this
ese aljibe,
water
realmente
source is really
espectacular. Ese
spectacular.
aljibe sostiene el-
All this forest was destined to
Y
protect
todo
this
este
beautiful
bosque,
water
como
source.
habíamos hablado, se le
Half a
destinó
bushel
para
of land was
protección
set
de la
aside
fuente
for the
hídrica.
forest.
Se dejó casi media fanegada de tierra, que esa no cuenta, y como nada se dejó para...
Estamos hablando de que es un manantial de agua privado, pero esa agua que
We're talking about a
prácticamente
private
va-
water
Como acá
spring,
sobra
but the
agua,
surplus
nosotros no la
water
trabajamos
benefits
toda
all
para el
these
lago.
houses down.
Sobra el agua, entonces termina bajando abajo y arma
termina
una quebrada.
recorriendo el resto de vereda.
Sí, ahí para abajo.
Muy bonito, vea. Y no sé si
On
en
one
alguna ocasión
occasion,
les había
told
hablado de
you
la
about how to
conservación de
protect the
nacederos.
hatcheries.
Se utiliza la polisombra y este material para que
The forest,
conserve la
polishade, and other
Lo que
factors
se
ensure that
le puso fue
moisture
una
is
geomembrana y
conserved.
debajo una polisombra. Y ahí vive con sombra la planta y más todo el bosque que se dejó.
y se le conservan todas las especies.
And all
Sí.
tree
Más
species have
habituales
been
que hay aquí en
conserved
Bovedal.
so that they are born or
¿Cuánto
remain
aproxima
in
usted que
optimal
puede estar
conditions.
naciendo
What
ahí
flow
de agua?
capacity
Porque
do you
realmente
think
es
there
un
is here in
flujo
this spring of water?
bastante.
Yo creo que casi
I
2
think 2
pulgadas de
inches
agua
of
nacen
water.
ahí.
The
Por lo
water
menos,
that's
yo creo
coming
que
out
el agua
here
que
is
sobra
really
aquí
the
es la que
one
está
that's born
naciendo allá,
true.
¿cierto?
Sí.
If
Porque si
so,
es
I
así,
think there's
aquí
3
estamos
inches
hablando
of
casi
flow.
de un flujo
Nacedero
There is the
principal,
main
y
spring,
verdadero
but
madre
we also
fundadora.
have two
y
springs
luego allí
beyond
hay
it.
más
We have a
subnacederos,
tank
allí
that
hay
stores
otros,
another
y hay
spring.
otros
In short, we
artísimos.
have an
Y
area
todos
of
se han
springs.
arreglado, porque yo veo
Entonces-
que, por ejemplo, aquí está un tanquecito que como que
Yes,
Sí, donde
here we
nace el
see
agua,
that they
donde
made a
nacen
little
todas las
tank
aguas
to
aquí
de
store
también
allá.
water
hicieron como
and
una plataforma
En todo lado,
cemento.
sí, en todo lado donde las agüitas se dejaron y se dejan seguir. Si no se van a utilizar, se deja que sigan hacia abajo su curso y arman una quebrada abajo.
Tenemos esta sala.
We have this room with the measurements of 320 times 8, and we are going to observe here this room to see where we find the light to show you this room. In short, we have 3 bedrooms, living room, kitchen, laundry area, and an apartment with 2 bedrooms, corridor, and here we can observe the kitchen area.
Luego seguimos, continuamos en esta zona y tenemos
here we have the bathroom. And we have here the largest room, master bedroom.
Que sería de 4x4.